Hi, Scotty here, looking at the Google Link Disavowal tool, and I want to dispel some, or at least take my take on some of the sort of scaremongering that's going around about the potential effects of using the Link Disavowal tool, particularly on third-party sites. Not to say there aren't any, but there is a sequence of events, a sequence of quite unlikely events that needs to be gone through to really to use this as a new form of negative SEO against good sites. I had on my inbox this morning something from the guys at Noble Samurai, the guys who do Market Samurai, which was sensational. It's by somebody who writes, so I've normally got a bit of respect for, but it's probably a bit of sensationalist stuff. It's link bait and comment bait, but it really wasn't particularly accurate, and it didn't really look. I don't know whether it's accurate. It might have been the guy's genuine thoughts, but it didn't look into the consequences and the sequence of events that need to take place for what they were proposing might happen to actually happen. That's not to say that I'm a fan of this Google Link Disavowal tool. Google are absolutely culpable for creating an environment where negative SEO works, where, you know, if you spam, even if it's short term, if you spam somebody down from 2 weeks before Black Friday, say, even if it's temporary and they're down on Black Friday and you just rise up a place, their business could be ruined. Your business, you know, the site that did the negative SEO goes up that one place and gets 30% more traffic. The site that's targeted is destroyed. They make nothing, you know, 30-40% of the year's income on that Black Friday, which is the case for a lot of people, and even though they use the Link Disavowal tool and recover a few weeks later, it's too late then. The damage has been done, the business is bust. So Google are culpable and responsible for creating this absolute cluster mess. I use the word mess instead of the F word there, of a system where negative SEO works, and it's pretty much unforgivable what they've done. It wouldn't surprise me if at some point down the future there's lawsuits for spam and antitrust and all that. Absolutely idiotic. How people can claim they employ intelligent people is beyond me. But there we go. Consequences of Link Disavowal tool. 3 areas that are affected by the tool. First of all is, of course, the webmaster who wishes to disavow some of their incoming links. You've got some links coming to your site, you don't want them. Perhaps you've been penalised in SERPs. You've had that dreaded email. You know, you're looking to gain page rank through bad links. Oh God, I better get rid of them. It's you I'm on about. The second is the owner of the site where those links are placed. So they have outbound links. You're going to disavow a part of their site, if you like. It's the other site's owner, the site with the outbound links on. The third, of course, is Google themselves, the puppet master pulling the strings, sort of intervening between the two. That's how we think of it, but we're missing out a very important part if we only think of it in terms of those three. And the fourth part that we tend to miss out is very, very important. We all know that Google can be fooled. We all know that pretty much the Link Disavowal tool and the Penguin update is more or less an admission that they cannot understand or tell the provenance of links except by using the most basic metrics such as anchor text. They can't really get their head and tail around content, especially not in the mass that it's on the internet at the moment. They don't really understand links. They're using some very, very basic Lego brick sort of logic to work stuff out. They'll claim it's very sophisticated. The Link Disavowal tool and the need for it and the introduction of negative SEO sort of proves they haven't got a clue. If they had a clue and could look at a link and tell whether it's good or bad, none of this would have been necessary, would it? The fact that you need a Link Disavowal tool proves that Google can't tell from Shinola. They're clueless. Anyway, but there's a fourth part which is a checks and measure. It's not an excuse for Google, but if I explain how it works, it will tell you why not to be too paranoid if you're an owner of a good site thinking that you could be targeted by I'm doing inverted commas here, a link disavowal attack. Why that's very unlikely to happen. And that's Google Webmaster Tools account. Very quickly, most of you know what Google Webmaster Tools is. It's the system by which the link disavowal is going to be done. You have to have a site. You have to have a Google Webmaster Tools account. That site has to be registered to the Google Webmaster Tools account. It's very hard to have multiple Webmaster Tools accounts per person. It is possible, but since March 1st, 2012, it's harder. They want some personal information and they want phone verification, stuff like that, so it's not so easy, but it is possible. But even then, a site can only be registered to one Webmaster Tool account. A site can't be a public site. You can't open a free WordPress.com blog and then open a, it can be part of it, but but you don't have the same. It's not the same as your site because you can't put the analytics code on there and all that kind of stuff. So this is the fourth part. This is the bit where the action takes place, and there are some checks and balances in there. Most prominent of which, a site can't belong to more than one Google Webmaster Tool account. So this is the scenario I think a lot of people are alluding to when they're concerned about being the victim of a disavowal tool attack. Somebody has a website that they're very frustrated. Here's a frustrated lady. Her site's gone down in search because Google have told her she's got some bad links. She goes through Webmaster Tools to your site. This is, or whoever's site it is, and there's the bad link. Can you remove this link, please? Google is here playing Puppet Master underneath because they don't deserve to be on top, and they're watching this transaction with interest, and the conspiracy goes that they're going to put a black mark against this site, which of course they could. They're going to take more pervasive or invasive is the fact that they're going to be gleaning quite a bit of information from these people about their habits and their linking and the way things work and the niche they work in. Quite marketable information, but let's forget that. That's not what people are concerned about. People are concerned about this potential black mark that's going to go against this site here. Now in this scenario, this website owner goes through here, complains about this link here. Google disavow it or allow it to be disavowed. That's probably a better way of putting it. This person's site here a few weeks later potentially recovers. That's yet to be seen whether that actually happens or not. Jobs are good and everything goes down there. Do Google put a black mark on this site? No, not for one. It could be any number of reasons, and although the disavowal tool does sort of ask for a reason, they're not going to act on one disgruntled person for one link. That's not going to happen. What the conspiracy sort of system goes is this is going to happen. Multiple users will have to go, remember they're going to have to go through multiple Webmaster Tool accounts, and each of those Webmaster Tool accounts is going to have a different site on it. You can't have the same site on more than one account. You shouldn't although it's possible to fake to have more than one account per person. Ostensibly they need phone verification, all that kind of stuff these days. But then each one of these sites which is registered to account must each individually have a link. So here's site A, it has to have a link. Here's site B, it has to have a link. Here's site C, it has to have a link. Site A, B and C all have to have their own Google Webmaster Tools account for this to work. Now one person could have multiple sites and have 50 sites on their Google Webmaster Tool account and claim, rather in the rather unlikely scenario, that all of their different sites have got a link from a particular site over here. I think that's going to reflect worse on this person over here if that happens, isn't it? Why have you got sites in all sorts of niches and yet everyone's got a link in this on this site over here that you don't want? How did that happen? I wouldn't, I would keep quiet about it if that was you. If it's YouTube and you have a YouTube channel for everyone, or you have a WordPress.com account in your first tier for everyone, that's probably fine. But if it's some obscure site and every one of your sites, you've got hundreds of sites, has a link from it, that's an unlikely scenario, and one that would probably reflect worse on the person making the claim than the person who owned the site here. So you need multiple people, or probably multiple people, at least one person with the capability of making multiple Webmaster Tool accounts. That person then needs multiple sites, at least one per Webmaster Tool account, and each one of those sites needs its own link from the site which is going to be bombed or attacked by the link disavowal tool black negative SEO system. Not really going to happen, because there's a fourth element here whereby the person that owns this site, they own the links. They control whether they have outbound links on their site. If you don't want an outbound link on your site, delete it. The sites that will be affected are the currently valueless guest books, Whois, some trackback, some pingback places, stuff like that, which are already massive link palaces, which already offer virtually no link juice at all other than help with indexing. You go to a guest book and it's just 5,000 outbound links with no value. You may get this scenario occur. Of course, blog networks that get identified by Google, that could occur as well. So don't use blog networks. They're the people who are really going to suffer here. People who sell links on paid blog networks, they're the ones that are going to suffer here, because they're going to be identified first. But the first identification really needs to come from Google or from paranoid webmasters. But again, if you don't offer a paid blog network and you don't have outbound links that you're encouraging people just to put on there for the sake of it, it's very, very hard to target an honest site. because you can't do it alone. You have to have multiple sites. You need to pretend to be multiple people with multiple webmaster tools. You need multiple sites, and each one of those sites needs at least one link on the target site in question. That's not a very likely scenario. Not one that would be very, you buying a tool that does that, creates multiple webmaster tools, creates sites for each one of those webmaster tool accounts, and then creates a link from those sites to this. It's not going to happen, is it? Realistically, it will happen to spam palaces. It will happen to people who are daft enough to have a blog and just leave their comment section opened and unmoderated. When you buy those AA lists of things to send Scrapebox to, or forums, if you've got a site and you leave your comments open and unmoderated, that's sort of your fault. Akismet is free, which is free blog for free add-on for WordPress, which gets rid of about 99% of your outbound spam links. It never lets them get posted in the first place. If you can't be bothered to do that, then your site is probably abandonware anyway. Just forget it. You're not going to do it. But if you look after your site, even if you've got 50 or 60 of them, it's possible just now and again to go through how many outbound links am I allowing on this site? How vulnerable am I to this rather unlikely scenario happening to me, where multiple users with multiple webmaster tool accounts, with at least one site with one link per account, blah blah blah. How vulnerable am I to that? Have I just got outbound links that add value to my readers or my users or whatever sort of niche you're in which case you're perfectly safe. This scenario isn't going to happen. I doubt if it happens at all, other than by just the odd complete fluke. It's certainly not one that's going to be easily engineered as part of a negative SEO attack. However, where we should be looking is this conduit here, the information that you give to webmaster tools that Google are going to be filtering through, which will help them to identify your methods as an internet marketer or search engine optimization professional. That's what you've got to watch out for. Multiple uses of this will reveal a lot about yourself, and Google have a very poor reputation of dealing with personal data. They don't have that many antitrust suits against them for nothing. Anyway, that's just sort of wanting to allay some of the fears about this scenario potentially taking place. The crux of it all is you control the outbound links on your site. If you're letting your site become a palace for spam, that's, don't. Delete them. Delete the links. If the links aren't there, they're not registered in Webmaster Tools, the people can't complain about them, and delete them. It's as simple as that. If you've left your forum open for anybody to post and put outbound links on, if you've left your blog open for anybody to comment and put trackbacks to their site on, if you've if you've got a guest book, you just let people post hello and then an outbound link, then you've got it coming tough. If you've got if you're a reasonable webmaster with a reasonable account, this aspect of the link disavowal tool is nothing to worry about. And it's I'm sort of I've got pretty grim feelings about the people who are scaremongering about this potential, because it's not really going to happen. Where Google are going to come down on you is the information you're giving them, and that is my main reason for not wanting to use it. It's because you're telling them a lot about your methods, and they know enough already. They're all pervasive, they don't offer particularly good value, particularly for commercial terms. Where 85% of the real estate on page 1 for many commercial terms is Google or Google owned. It's Google marketing at the top, Google pay-per-click underneath and to the right, it's Google services down the left, and then underneath the pay-per-click it's 2 or 3 YouTube videos, and right at the bottom, now they only have 5 or 6 proper results anyway, there are 2 actual proper search results that don't have anything to do with Google. So Google is now having this incestuous relationship where it's marketing itself. You wanted to look for make money online? Well, here's YouTube, which is Google. Here's pay-per-click, which is Google. Here's our big Google logo with our big Google services all over it, which is Google. Here's more pay-per-click down the right-hand side, which of course is Google. And right down the bottom, there's a site you might be interested in. But you know what? We really want you to click on Google. You've got to wonder how long any system which offers so little value to its end users, it's just such a self-promotional and incestuously promotional system, will last, particularly when they're culpable for creating negative SEO and by the back door admitting they really haven't got a clue what they're doing. Scritty at demondemon.com, signing off.